All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we are going to talk about Jermell Charlo and what Terence Crawford's team through Bomac had to say about him. Man, I'm telling you, man, these guys is wild for this one. Question whether or not Errol Spence Jr. or Terence Crawford is the harder fight. Answer was kind of surprising, and as was the logic behind it. So let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be in the 154-pound division, talking about a big fight that could take place. Don't know when it would take place, but definitely could take place, and is on the radar for the former undisputed champion at 140 pounds, current 147-pound WBO champion, Terence "Bud" Crawford, and that is a fight with him and Jermell Ironman Charlo, who is the undisputed champion at 154 pounds. There's an upcoming fight this Friday between Shakur Stevenson and Conceição. There is a very, very good prospect on that card. Goes by the name of Keyshawn Davis, who's I do believe he's an Olympic silver medalist at lightweight and is trained by Brian McIntyre, widely known as Bomac, the trainer of Terence Crawford. And he was asked during this time about about a fight with Jermell Charlo. Now, before I get into the specific details of it, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit that subscribe button, hit that bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. If you are a longtime subscriber and supporter to the channel, thank you so much for your support. It is greatly appreciated. There is a button down there to support the channel called Super Thanks. If you feel like tipping your hat to the channel, would be greatly appreciated. Now let's get into this. So Bomac was asked, who is the harder fight between Terence Crawford, for Terence Crawford? Is it Errol Spence Jr. or is it Jermell Charlo? Now, if you are not familiar, Terence Crawford has a two-fight plan. Well, now, I suppose, depending on if this fight happens with Errol Spence Jr. and what the rematches clauses are in it, that he wants to become the undisputed champion against Errol Spence Jr. at 147. And then after that, he wants to move up and challenge Jermell Charlo for undisputed at 154 pounds. So Bomac was asked, who does he think is the harder fight? Is it Jermell Charlo or is it Errol Spence Jr.? And his answer was, I think, man, underestimating Jermell Charlo. But from one aspect, he says that he believes that the fight with Errol Spence Jr. is a harder fight because of the mentality of Errol Spence Jr., because Errol Spence Jr. has not lost before. Where you have Terence Crawford, where you have Jermell Charlo, who's lost before. So he knows what it's like to lose. Errol Spence Jr. does not know what it's like to lose. So Errol Spence Jr. is going to come in there, I assume, with a lot more focus, a lot more confidence than Jermell Charlo does. So he didn't talk about this. Oh, and he also said, yes, he did. I was going to misspeak. Asked about the skill set, and he said, look, those guys both fight the same. Jermell fights the same. Jermell and Terence Crawford fight, and Errol Spence. Yeah, Jermell Charlo and Errol Spence Jr. both fight the same. And I thought to myself, man, I would have never thought that he would have said that. First, I don't see that many similarities in the way that they fight. Now, admittedly, Bomac is a trained world champion, is former professional boxer, all that good stuff, right? So he knows what he's looking at. Errol is a southpaw. Jermell Charlo is orthodox. Jermell Charlo really does not work behind a jab nearly as much as Errol Spence Jr. does. And Jermell Charlo is not somebody that is really looking to get on the inside, I think Jermell Charlo's punches are a little bit more wide than Errol Spence Jr.'s are, but most importantly, Jermell Charlo's a lot bigger than Errol Spence Jr., a lot longer. I don't know if because honestly, his arms don't look that long, but he's clearly a much bigger guy than Errol Spence Jr. So I didn't really get the comparison of how these guys, how they fight just alike. But the thing that kind of got me was the fact that where he talked about how, Jermell Charlo had lost, and so he knows what it's like. He knows what it's like to lose. I'm telling you, I don't think Jermell Charlo thinks he's ever lost. And if he's had a loss, and if that is how somebody responds to a loss, then, hey, man, you may not. I don't know how that's going to work, man, because really, if you look at the loss that he has, Jermell Charlo didn't believe he lost that fight. He believed he got robbed from that fight. And he maintained that the entire time he was training for the rematch. And when he came into the rematch, he went right at that guy and wound up knocking out Tony Harrison. It wasn't a situation where he got beat, he really got beat and he knew that he lost and it was a bad performance for him. So he didn't really feel, if anything, it seemed like he may have had more of a sense of urgency and wanted to press the gas even more against Tony Harrison the next time, so he didn't leave it to the judges. Now the other time, obviously Jermell Charlo didn't lose. He got a draw and against Brian Castano, and a fight that I think that Jermell Charlo has a pretty realistic take on, which is that he started slow. He started slowly in that fight. Probably should have started earlier, but after he got, kicked in, maybe he was down. I do believe that Jermell Charlo was down, going into round 5, but pretty much from 5, 6 on, he pretty much cleaned the slate every round with Brian Castano, and he adjusted that. Now, the other thing about him is that he turns out in the rematch, comes back and makes his adjustment and listens to what Derek James tells him to do and what the game plan is, and he winds up stopping Brian Castano. So, I wouldn't put too much into really losses, a guy, the fact that he took a loss, meaning that somehow, he's not going to be as confident against Terence Crawford, who, by the way, is coming up, would have been in his 4th weight class against Jermell. Dude, Jermell is a big boy, and I don't think that man got an off switch. Honestly, I think that man is just so stuck. Like, he's such an aggressive fighter, such an aggressive person that if he does lose, it's not going to be because of acts of omission. It's going to be acts of commission. He's going to be going at Terence Crawford, and he's going to be trying to hurt Errol Spence Jr. Terence Crawford that entire fight. So I just don't really fall too close with that logic. Now, will the fight happen? We'll see. Will Jermell Charlo even be at that weight class by the time Terence Crawford gets there? I don't know, but I will know for certain that Terence Crawford is not going to be able to fight Jermell Charlo next, because Jermell Charlo has that WBO mandatory fight with Tim Tszyu. I do believe it's either in January or it's February of 2023. So that's coming up for him. So even if he did, that probably wouldn't be a fight that would take place until the middle part of 2023. But Terence Crawford does have the ability to exercise that, as long as he doesn't lose to Errol. If he loses to Errol, then it's going to be tough for him to get that fight, because he'll no longer be the WBO super champion. But if he's able to win the fight, and I assume 2 fights, then he would be able to go up there as the WBO super champion and ask for the fight, and the time would probably work. But anyway, I just thought that was an interesting insight. And you let me know what you think in the comment section. With that, I'm out. Peace.